What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Tougen Anki, Episode 10. So in this one, we see like this introduces the concept of a child Kishin. Like it explains it a little bit. So Shiki is still fighting Subakiri. So Subakiri like basically beats the crap out of Shiki, like tortures him, and like like the little girl May, she's watching it, and basically we hear like explanation of child Kishin from like these other Momotaro, like they're off like somewhere else during it. So basically, like what's explained is so Kishin was like a major Oni back in the day, like centuries ago, like probably a few hundred years, maybe a few thousand years ago. Basically, he had a bunch of kids, and then those kids have kids, and basically, anytime the Momotaros start getting the advantage, Child Kishin start like awakening their powers, and that like gives moves some of the balance of power back to in favor of the Oni. So basically, that's why the war's been going on for like 1,000 years. And then explain that basically there are eight children of Kishin at one time for each element. It's explained like as Shiki awakens his fire power, like so he has the element of fire. He's the child Kishin for fire, and so there are total of eight, including him. So along with you know Shiki's firepower, you have water, lightning, earth, wind, ice, darkness, and light. Those are so yeah. So basically, there are seven others that who knows? We got another one. Like who knows what the other ones were? And basically, when it's explained, so Subakiri wants to like use Shiki as a lab rat, I guess, to study his Kishin blood to see, I guess, what the deal with that bloodline's power is. And yeah, so basically, Shiki like his hair like turns orange, whatever, and he like awakens his firepower, and he like beats Subakiri, and he like saves May. And yeah, so yeah, and basically a lot of dialogue exposition regarding of Kishin was explained at this moment. These three Momotaro and a conversation between them at another location, like these two higher ups, and then one like newbie. And so yeah, I really like this. I like the explanation, how they're explaining the children of Kishin. Interesting how like how it develops, later on. Like later, like who are the other seven? That's gonna be interesting. So yeah, I really liked this. I thought it was really good. Like this, like the fight was awesome. And then yeah, I thought this was great. And then yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like. So I'm wondering, okay, why is so what's the deal with like the Oni versus Momotaro thing? That's gonna be very interesting how that develops. But yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Kurumizawa's Folly, Chapter 2. So in this one, Kurumizawa um gives like his pitch to the publisher, his and Kinsaku's manga, and basically it's accepted. Now everyone at the publisher thinks that Kurumizawa is the only one involved. They don't know about Kinsaku, and seems like Kinsaku is not aware that basically Kurumizawa's pitch is also his pitch. So far as he knows, basically they're each doing different series. It looks like, but so and then while having a conversation with Kinsaku about basically so they need Kurumizawa needs Kinsaku to come up with three stories. The guy stays up all night, comes up with nine, and they narrow it down to three. And then basically they're like Kurumizawa realizes that like Kinsaku is very talented, very creative, and that basically like he doesn't know if he can be able to contain that guy Kinsaku's talent. I mean, the only thing holding out Kinsaku is that he's not literate. That he can't read and write. But how he explained how his family was poor, couldn't afford to buy manga, so they would rent it, and like basically explain like how they came up with all how he Kentucky was inspired by a lot of Kurumizawa's writing back then, and basically, yeah. So then Kurumizawa's like he's starts wondering if he should be like doing like because he basically said he's willing to become the devil to have one less masterpiece in his name, but he's wondering if like it is the right thing what he's doing, if he should be doing it. And then like showing that both of them have don't really talk to anyone back in their hometowns. Like they kind of like left the world behind, all the left their old lives behind. Yeah, and so yeah, it seems like Kurumizawa like also doesn't want to like I guess like contact his I guess his family either. But yeah, so I really like this chapter. I like how they're saying like this new series like that they're working on. Like it's gonna go see how it develops, how their work working relationship goes, and will Kintaku eventually learn how to read and write? Will he learn to eventually try to actually get some form of education where he can read and write, to where he could basically branch on his own and be really good? And how will that affect Kurumizawa? So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1, The Return of Akaza. So in this film, so this adapts chapters 139 through 157 of the manga. So, basically kind of like the very end of chapter 139, which is basically like when all the demon slayers get dropped into the Infinity Castle in order to fight all these demons. Basically, it's just all out war over Nezuko Kamado. So, Tanjiro Kamado yells that Muzan Kibutsuji that he wants to kill him. Muzan's like, hey, do it if you can. And so Tanjiro, when he struggles to get his footing, Giyu Tomioka, the Water Hashira, basically saves him. They start fighting demons, and then basically you see different parents. You have, Obanai Iguro and Mitsuri Kanroji. They're fighting alongside each other, going around. You have Giyomi Himejima, and who's the Stone Hashira, and Muchiro Tokido, who's the Mist Hashira. They're basically going around with each other fighting. Senemi Shinazugawa is like kind of like by himself, and his brother Ginya is like basically by himself as well. He kind of his weaponry is a little interesting. How he uses like pistols and stuff using the demon slaying metal, and then Zenitsu. Zenitsu Agatsuma is like by himself, Inosuke Hashibira is by himself, Kanao Tsuyuri is by herself, and Shinobu Kocho's by basically like people are trying to figure out what the heck's going on. They're trying to it's all chaotic. But and so this film, there's like three main fights in it. The first major one is Insect Hashira Shinobu Kocho versus Upper Demon 2 Doma. And Shinobu recognizes Doma as the demon that killed her sister. Like, and she's pissed. Like, there's a reason she hates demons. So, Kane, who used the flower breathing instead of insect breathing, she was murdered by Doma. And the reason she wasn't eaten is because the sun was coming up. And Kane, or basically described Doma's appearance and his weapons and stuff. And yeah, so Shinobu recognizes Doma, and basically we see the fight, and Shinobu's doesn't have due to her size, she doesn't have a lot of muscle strength, so that's why she uses poison for a lot of her, because she can't necessarily always behead a demon, like especially an upper two, so she has to use poison to try to weaken him. So she's like an expert in like the poisons that work on demons, and she starts using different poisons, and but she puts up a valiant fight, but she's killed. Basically, Doma kills her, then eats her, and Kanao, who is like Shinobu's apprentice, uh, sees Shinobu get eaten. And all the Kasugai crows are now they announce Shinobu's death to everyone, and basically you have so Yushiro's blood demon art is used to like help the crows and basically the leaders of the survivor. So Kaguya U- Ubiyaya Shiki, he's since his dead since he, his wife, and two of his daughters are dead. They blew themselves up to help trap Muzan. So Kaguya's son is now like he's like a child. Like he's a child. He's basically running the demon slayers out. Him and his two sisters, like two surviving sisters, and like you have former Sound Hashira Tengen Uzui, and then former Flame Hashira, Rengoku, like basically Kyoji Rengoku's father, who had retired from being a Hashira due to like depression, alcoholism, and all that. Basically, they're staying behind. They're protecting, you know, headquarters. And so we see this fight. So Shinobu's dead now, and then next big fight is involving Zenitsu. So Zenitsu fights Kaigaku, who is now the upper rank 6. Basically, Kaigaku had, he basically, so they both were trained under their master, the former Thunder Hashira. So Zenitsu only mastered the first thunder breathing form, while Kaigaku masters forms 2 through 6, but cannot do 1. And Zenitsu couldn't do 2 through 6. So basically, like, and Kaigaku was very arrogant. Zenitsu didn't like him, but he respected him. And Kaigaku didn't like, he was offended when their master, like, wanted Kaigaku and Zenitsu to be his co-heirs. So Kaigaku eventually comes across the upper rank 1, Kokushimo, and basically becomes a demon. And he becomes an upper rank 6. And he has his memories. So he's like a demon who actually has his memories of his previous life. So he remembers Zenitsu and their master. And when news reached the Zenitsu's master about Kaigaku becoming a demon, the master like killed himself as like some form of committed seppuku to like atone or something. he like killed himself, and since there wasn't anyone there to I guess cut his head off after he like slit his chest and all that, he basically died very slowly in agony. So Zenitsu is pissed, and so he fights Kaigoku, and he's serious. This ain't like him like being all cowardly like he always, and he's awake. Like he's not like when he's not like asleep and just wrecking them, wrecking demons. He is awake, and he fights Kaigoku one on one, an upper rank demon one on one. And so Zenitsu wins the fight by using a seventh Thunder Breathing form that he came up on his own, and he kills Kaigoku. He's passed out. You know, Yushiro and some of the other demon slayers, like basically help him heal, like help him recover. And then after that, we get to, and then you see Urokudaki who trains Kanjuro and Giyu. Basically protecting Nezuko. So Nezuko's just been given the drug that Lady Tomio, and Shinobu had made to help turn Nezuko back to a human. Basically, Urokodaki's just protecting her as she's, I guess, the drug is processing through her. Then Tanjiro and Giyu come across upper rank 3 Akaza. And this is a rematch. Well, not really a rematch, but this is a fight most people know was going to happen because Tanjiro watched Kyojin Rengoku get killed by Akaza in one of the greatest anime fights ever. Like the Rengoku versus Akaza fight, you could make a very good argument it is the best anime fight ever. I don't know if I would say that, but it is an S tier fight in anime. Like in combat in anime is an S tier fight, one of the greatest fights ever. Like from a visual standpoint, from a combat standpoint, it is incredible and like a very very character focused fight, very good fight. Like it is insane. And this fight, so Tanjiro and Giyu they team up against Akaza, and Tanjiro is able to like hold his own a little bit, and so Giyu comments in his head that Tanjiro's strength is at the level of a Hashira. So like and so if like Tanjiro had like been able to progress well enough with water breathing, he probably would be like the new water Hashira right now, because Giyu had kind of like somewhat resigned as water Hashira. Because generally there's like water and flame, you always have a Hashira for it basically every time. So I guess basically Giyu wanted Tanjiro to become the next water Hashira. Of course, well, I'm not gonna give some big spoilers about the future, what happens at the very end of the series, but you know, obviously you have a concept that I guess if things had happened, you know, Tanjiro could be someone who they could have just named a Sun Hashira. That would have been interesting. But no, but yeah, so they're fighting Akaza, and basically, so Tanjiro notices he deduces that Akaza is able to detect people based on like their fighting spirit, their willpower, their killing intent. And Tanjiro recalls like so his father who died of illness. He recalls seeing his father like basically able to kill this bear that was like attacking people, like basically without showing like the intent, like any like bloodlust or anything. Like very effective. Like if Tanjiro's father didn't have his illness, he probably could have been a really good demon slayer. Like Tanjiro's father could have been a Sun Hashira, and that is not an understatement. If the Kamado family was part of the demon slayers, like a long line of demon slayers, Like if that had happened, holy frick. The Sun Hashira, dude, it would have been it's like Muzan probably would have already been dead by this point because the way like he was so good at breathing despite being sick, having his health issues. The way Tanjiro's father was able to like breathe, hit control his breathing, do the Hinokami Kagura, which was sun breathing, but the Hinokami Kagura was like a dance, I guess that passed down throughout the Kamado line, based off of sun breathing techniques. Now Tanjiro was not aware of sun breathing until he met the Rengoku, met Rengoku's father, and so he remembers talking with Inosuke about how Inosuke's able to like he's able to detect bloodlust, and he's able to, even if someone's behind him, he's able to like have a guess, something about that, and then like basically Inosuke comments that if he was able to attack someone without using bloodlust, he'd be able to kill anyone without anyone seeing him, and like basically that'd be way. So they don't know, and he neither Inosuke or Tanjiro in their conversation were able to figure out how they could do that. So Tanjiro starts thinking when he realizes how, remembering his father, how he was able to do it. He enters this thing called the selfless state or transparent world, and gives him like this his senses, his emotions, bloodlust is masked, and so like his like ability, his agility, his speed, like his like how he sees things, he almost has like an alibi experience or whatever, and he's like able to cut off Akasa's head. Now Akaza tries to reattach his head, but then like and basically he wants to like and so even with his health, he's like fighting without a head, and his head's gradually starting to regenerate. And then causes the whole thing experience causes Akaza to remember his past. So basically he was a street thief named Hakuji. He basically was stealing money to help pay buy medicine for his sick father. And basically after Hakuji got caught a bunch, basically his father killed himself to no longer give Hakuji a reason to steal money. And basically Hakuji beats up some of the people he blamed, I guess, blamed for a lot of it and a lot of his circumstances. And then that leads like this dojo owner named Keizo, like who like I guess teaches martial arts, to come across him, and basically beats up Hakuji like in a fight, and takes him as his student while having Hakuji take care of his daughter Koyuki. And after like 3 years, Koyuki is able to like recover enough to where she can actually move around well, and where like basically she and Hakuji are able to like keep a promise that Hakuji kind of made, and I don't know if it was necessarily in jest or have a little nonchalant about like seeing some fireworks together once she was able to move well. And Keizo tells Hakuji he wants him to take over the dojo for him, like I guess like when he dies. And basically he and basically Koki asks Hakuji to marry her, and Hakuji agrees. But while Hakuji's up visiting his father's grave to tell him about the engagement, he'll tell basically I mean tells you goes to his father's grave and tells his father about the engagement. Basically, Heizo and Kauki are poisoned by a neighboring dojo. Basically, there are some dojos that were not happy about Keizo. So basically, Keizo got the dojo by beating up some bandits who threatened this old dude, and the old dude left Keizo the land, which he turned to a dojo. His dojo and other dojos were not happy about that because they wanted the land, and they poisoned the water because of it, and that killed Koyuki and Keizo. Hakuji gets pissed off, so he storms into that dojo and brutally kills everyone. And like everyone thought he was a demon, so Muzan had to investigate because he's like, I ain't seen a demon here. What the frick is going on? Then he sees Hakaji. He's like, oh, you're just a you're a human. So he turns Hakaji into a demon. Of course, the demon being Akaza, and Akaza kill basically kills a lot of people, eats them, does a lot of martial arts in an effort just to get stronger. Now Akaza, remembering getting his memories back, he's able to he basically realizes what he's done is wrong, so he tries to injure himself to atone for his actions. He reconciles the spirits of his loved ones, and basically hit Koyuki hugs him and accompanies him to hell, while of course the other ones are in heaven. And so Akaza dies. Tanjiro and Giyu pass out, and basically the Kasugai crows announce that Tanjiro and Giyu killed Akaza, but they're passed out because they can't move anymore. Kokushibo and Doma, they sense that Akaza is dead. Kokushibo is a little pissed off because he knew Akaza wanted to challenge him, and that part's right, but I guess, Kokushibo was just not happy about having, Akaza die. He probably seems like he had some form of respect for Akaza. He respected him, and Doma's well, he's like, oh, Akaza's dead, okay. And so then Nakime, who's now the upper rank 4, changes the layout of the Infinity Castle to confuse the headquarters, because they were all trying to map out the Infinity Castle in order to find Muzan. And, Muzan is absorbing Tamio into it to himself as he I guess tries to recover. So basically just didn't kill all the demon slayers there. And that's really it. So everyone's still fighting. Of course, this is gonna lead into part 2, which is gonna be insane. So part 2, of course, you have, so you have, a lot of the other, you have Nakime, Kokushibo, and Doma still alive. There there is no upper rank 5 named. There's no upper rank 5 named for whatever reason. You know, I did see a theory one time that the reason there's no upper rank 5 is that since Kaikaku basically had just become a demon and he was a demon slayer, whatever, Muzan didn't want to award him with upper rank 5, so his name was 6. Basically, because it's feel like he was powerful enough, but he didn't, I guess, officially earn it. There was just a bunch of vacancies, so it's kind of basically a placeholder thing, which I could see that being, but it's okay. Who knows? Maybe who knows? Maybe in the next movie we'll actually see an upper rank 5. That could actually be. Who knows? Maybe we see Rokudaki just kill someone, an upper rank 5 who's trying to steal Nezuko, which would make some sense. That would be a cool thing to see in part 2 as a filler thing to show. But yeah, this was fantastic. This movie was incredible. The visuals, the animation, especially the 2D, the 3D, it's definitely better than what we get in 3D in the show. Because obviously Ufotable does not have the best history with 3D animation. It is just a fact. They don't have the best with 3D. Look at their Tales shows. Look at Tales of Zestiria DX. The 3D animation that is terrible. And Demon Slayer. The 3D animation outside of the move 3D animation generally is not Mugen Train, the 3D animation used for the Imu's neck. Basically it was like a disembodied head being held by a neck. Yeah, this was before Imu basically the demon became the train. Which proved Inosuke right in the beginning. His comment beginning of the movie. This train is the demon. Still a hilarious thing that he was actually right. Anyway, but the 3D animation, it's not the level as it was in in the when the Fanny Castle was first shown in the Swordsmith Village premiere, which was done because they were first showing that in movie theaters. I don't know if it was like that low, but it's the 3D animation was actually decent. It was actually pretty good. Obviously, it wasn't as good as the 2D, that's obvious, but it was actually still pretty good for 3D. 3D animation, like for anime, it was pretty good. But yeah, and dude, the story, the writing was like, people was like, oh, I don't like. Of course, you have a lot of critics like IGN. I'm sorry, you get IGN gave us a 6 out of 10. Are they retarded? I'm like, really? You gave us a 6 out of 10? Really? I mean, dear gosh. I mean, I, I mean, I don't really take IGN seriously, but come on. And like, but yeah, I would say so far, this is the best movie of the year. Period. This is the best movie of the year. And I don't, with what we have left this year, as far as movies go, I don't think that will change. I don't think that's going to change. Like, there's not going to be a better movie this year. Like, I mean, I don't think Tron Ares will top it. I don't think Smash Machine will top it. London Calling, One Battle After Another, Chainsaw Man Reese, Running Man, Nuremberg, Nice I don't see shit too. I don't think any of those are gonna actually top this movie. Like the closest movie we've gotten this year, based on U.S. release, to the quality of this movie is the Looney Tune is Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. That's the closest to quality to this. Like this was an incredible movie. It was fantastic. Like this should win Best Animated Film. Heck, this should win Best Picture, Best International Movie. Now, could it win Best International Movie? It probably could. It might. It might. If it's able to be eligible for both it and Best Animated Feature Film, it could win both. Like this movie could win both Best Animated Feature Film and Best Animated Film if it's eligible for both. Like if it's nominated for both, is a chance of winning both. Now, Best International Film, that's gonna be a lot easier one to win because also with anime movies, you still have K-pop Demon Hunters, which I think will actually end up being. I think K-pop Demon Hunters will actually end up being the winner for some odd reason. Yeah, another movie about demons, except this involves bubblegum pop music. This one does not. This is just straight up killing demons. And like the score in this movie was incredible. The story, like, dude, like the also with Doma, so Doma being like a basically he was worshipped as a throughout all his life. There's like a religion formed around him, and he basically another one who was able to like remember his past. Like, dude, like it is insane. Like this was such a great like movie. Like very brutal in like how like some of the fights were. Like this does not hold back, and the next two won't hold back either. Because I've read the manga, I can tell you they the next few fights, they're not holding back. It's gonna be the same. But I really like this movie. This was incredible, great movie. Like true, like this is actually Oscar worthy. It ain't Oscar bait. It ain't some retarded Oscar bait thing. This is like actually good. So this is a great movie. Go watch it. Watch the show if you haven't, because I'll just be just for fair warning. If you haven't watched the show, you're gonna be confused as hell when you watch this, because you're like, what the frick is going on? You do need to watch the show. Now, just watch the show. So like, obviously, Mugen Train movie, which is a great movie by the way. So that was adapted into the first 7 episodes of. season 2 of the anime. So literally, you could just and all the other movies were just compilation movies. So you don't need to worry about those. So basically, you could just watch the show, and you understand everything you need to know about this movie. Because that basically that's all you know. It's just all the manga content and some filler, but it's actually good filler. It's actually well written filler. But yeah, do watch it. It's incredible. It's a great movie, and this could do very well. This looks like it's gonna be doing very well in the box office, and deservedly so. Like fantastic, best movie of the year. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.